the ancient Roman world, meat was a bit of a delicacy, and it was almost exclusively enjoyed by the rich.
Are you ever curious about what people used to eat in ancient times? Get comfy, get ready for a journey back in time to explore flavors that have vanished but might just make you hungry for more. Number 20, garum. Ever heard of garum? It was a favorite in ancient Rome. Imagine a fermented fish sauce that was used as a seasoning in almost everything. Romans were crazy about it, but now it's vanished. Can you believe it? Garum was a popular condiment in ancient Rome. Made from fish that were fermented with salt and herbs, it was used as a seasoning in a variety of dishes, from soups and stews to sauces and salads. The food's flavor and scent were enhanced by the addition of a rich and flavorful garum. Due to the high cost and scarcity of some of the best types, it was also regarded as a luxury item. Several areas of the Roman Empire manufactured garum with a unique recipe and level of quality. The finest variety came from Spain, where it was made with mackerel, tuna, or anchovies. Greeks, Egyptians, and Carthaginians were among the people who enjoyed it when it was brought to various regions of the Mediterranean. Garum was called the Roman ketchup because it was so common in Roman cooking. However, after the fall of the Roman Empire, garum gradually disappeared from the culinary scene. The reasons for its decline were not clear, but some factors may include the loss of trade routes, the rise of Christianity, and the changing tastes of the people. Today, it's mostly forgotten except by some historians and chefs who try to recreate it from ancient recipes and archaeological evidence. Garum may seem strange and unappealing to modern palates, but for the ancient Romans, it was a delicious and essential part of their diet. Number 19, Silphium. Next up, we have Silphium, an ancient wonder herb, popular in the Mediterranean. People believed it had medicinal properties and even used it as a spice. But sadly, it's extinct now, leaving us wondering about the lost flavors of the past. Silphium was a remarkable plant that flourished in the ancient Mediterranean world. It was highly valued for its multiple uses, especially as seasonings and as a medicine. People believed that Silphium could cure various illnesses, such as fever, cough, indigestion, and pain. It was also reputed to have aphrodisiac and contraceptive effects, making it a sought-after commodity among the Greeks and the Romans. It was so prized that it became a symbol of wealth and love and was often depicted on coins and art. Native to the region of Cyrene in present-day Libya, Silphium grew in abundance on the dry and rocky soil. It was harvested by cutting the stems and collecting the resin that oozed out. The resin, also known as laser or laser piscium, was the most valuable part of the plant and was sold in solid or liquid form. It was used to flavor dishes such as soups, sauces, salads, and meats, adding a pungent and aromatic taste. It was also used to make perfumes and incense and to preserve food. However, Silphium's popularity also led to its downfall. The plant was overexploited and overharvested, and its natural habitat was destroyed by human activity. Attempts to cultivate Silphium elsewhere failed, as the plant was sensitive to environmental conditions. It became scarce and expensive and eventually disappeared from the market. The last known specimen of Silphium was reportedly given to the Roman Emperor Nero, who ate it as a delicacy. Since then, Silphium has been lost to history, leaving us wondering about the lost flavors of the past. Number 18, ancient honey brews. Moving on to number 18, ancient honey brews. In places like Egypt, honey was mixed with various herbs and spices to create unique fermented drinks. It's like the original ancient mead, but sadly the recipes have been lost to time. These honey brews were not only delicious, but also had medicinal and religious significance. They were used to treat wounds, infections, and digestive problems, as well as to honor the gods and the dead. Some of the ingredients that were added to the honey brews included dates, figs, grapes, mint, cinnamon, coriander, and saffron. The fermentation process involved adding yeast and water to the honey mixture. and letting it sit for several days or weeks. The resulting drink was sweet, aromatic, and potent, with an alcohol content ranging from 5% to 20%. Ancient honey brews were enjoyed by people from all walks of life, from pharaohs and nobles to peasants and slaves. They were served at feasts, ceremonies, and festivals, as well as consumed daily as a refreshing beverage. Ancient honey brews were a part of the rich and diverse culinary culture of the ancient world, but unfortunately, their exact recipes have been lost to history. However, some modern brewers and enthusiasts have tried to recreate them using historical sources and archaeological evidence. Number 17, mullet wine. Wait for it, mullet wine, not the hairstyle, but a wine made from mullet fish. The bizarre beverage was popular in ancient Greece. Can you imagine pairing a fishy wine with your meal today? Mullet wine, also known as Oinus oxyrhynchitis, or sharp-nosed wine, was made from the blood and bile of the mullet fish, which was believed to have aphrodisiac properties. The fish was caught, gutted, and hung upside down to drain the blood and bile into a vessel. Then the liquid was mixed with wine and spices and left to ferment for a few days or weeks. The resulting drink was dark, bitter, and pungent with a fishy smell and taste. The absinthe wine was considered a delicacy and luxury by the ancient Greeks, who drank it as a tonic, a stimulant, or a medicine. It was especially popular among the upper classes and the elite, who could afford the expensive fish and the elaborate preparation. Mullet wine was also associated with the cult of Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility, and was offered as a sacrifice or a libation to him. Mullet wine was a part of the rich and varied gastronomy of ancient Greece, but it's unlikely that anyone could enjoy it today. It is one of the most bizarre and unappealing beverages ever invented by human civilization. Number 16, ostrich egg delicacies. Number 16 takes us to ostrich egg delicacies. In ancient Africa, ostrich eggs were a delicacy, often used in various dishes. Unfortunately, it's not something you can order at your local diner anymore. What a shame. Ostrich eggs are the largest and heaviest of all bird eggs, weighing about 1.5 kilograms and holding the equivalent of 24 chicken eggs. They have a thick, hard shell that can withstand the weight of an adult human. The eggs were highly valued by the ancient Africans who used them for food, art, and ritual. They were cooked in various ways, such as boiled, fried, scrambled, or baked in a fire. They were also used to make omelets, soups, stews, and pies. A large number of people could be fed by ostrich eggs, which were rich in protein, fat, and minerals. The shells of the eggs were also used to make beautiful and intricate decorations, such as lamps, bowls, cups, and beads. They were carved, painted, or engraved with geometric patterns, animal motifs, or symbols. And also the ostrich eggs were used as an offering or gifts to the gods, the ancestors, or the royalty. They were considered a sign of fertility, prosperity, and status. Although they aren't commonly available or consumed today, ostrich eggs were a component of the rich and interesting ancient African diet and culture. They are highly priced and primarily found in specialized shops or on farms. Their flavor is intense and unique, and they are challenging to cook and store. Few people nowadays get the opportunity to sample ostrich eggs, a rare and exotic delicacy. Number 15, Pompeii bread. Pompeii bread at number 15. Yes, you heard it right. This ancient bread was found preserved in the ruins of Pompeii. Imagine biting into a piece of history, but unfortunately it's not on a bakery menu today. Pompeii bread, also known as panis quadratus, was a staple food in ancient Rome. It was made from wheat, flour, water, salt, and yeast, and baked in wood-fired ovens. The bread had a round shape with 4 deep grooves dividing it into 8 wedges. It also had a circular stamp on the top, indicating the name of the baker or the shop. Bread from Pompeii was eaten plain or with cheese, honey, olives, or meat. It was also used as a plate or a napkin to soak up the sauces or juices of other dishes. Ancient Romans enjoyed Pompeii bread on a daily basis, but after Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, it became an extremely valuable and uncommon artifact. The volcanic ash and pumice that buried the city of Pompeii also preserved the bread, along with other organic materials in a state of carbonization. The bread was found in the ovens or baskets of the bakeries, still intact and recognizable. Pompeii bread is a remarkable example of the culinary and cultural heritage of the ancient world, but it is not edible or available today. It is displayed in museums or recreated by modern bakers who try to follow the original recipe and technique. Number 14, Posca. Posca, or number 14, was a popular Roman drink. It was a mixture of water, vinegar, and herbs. Romans loved it, but it's safe to say it's not a go-to thirst quencher nowadays. Posca, also known as aqua acetata, or vinegar water, was cheap and refreshing beverage that was widely consumed by the ancient Romans. It was made by diluting sour wine or vinegar with water and adding various herbs, such as mint, thyme, rosemary, or coriander, to enhance the flavor and the aroma. Depending on the season and personal taste, Posca was consumed either hot or cold. For the lower classes, particularly the soldiers, slaves, and peasants who could not afford the more expensive wines or foreign beverages, Posca was a staple beverage. It was also a healthful drink as it satisfied hunger and thirst and protected against scurvy, infections, and dehydration. Additionally, Posca was employed for the therapeutic and religious purposes, including healing and purification. Posca was part of the everyday life and culture of the ancient Romans, but it is not a popular or appealing drink today. Most often it can be found in historical reenactments or experiments when people attempt to recreate the taste and recipe from history. It is a simple and sour drink that contrasts with the modern preferences for sweet and fizzy drinks. Number 13, Hypotrimma. At number 13, we have Hypotrimma. This ancient spice blend from Greece was used to flavor a variety of dishes, but today it's a forgotten mix that once brought life to ancient Greek kitchens. Hypotrimma, also known as Oinos oxyranchitas, or sharp-nosed wine, was a sweet and savory cheese sauce that was widely enjoyed by the ancient Greeks. It was made by mixing cheese, honey, vinegar, wine, garam, oil, and defrutum, and adding various herbs and spices such as pepper, lovage, mint, pine nuts, raisins, and dates. Hypotrimma was a versatile sauce that could be used to dress salads, vegetables, meats, or breads. It was also a delicious dip for fresh fruits or pastries. The flavorful brew is rich in protein, fat, and minerals, and had a complex and balanced flavor with a hint of acidity, sweetness, and umami. Hypotrimma was a part of the sophisticated and varied cuisine of ancient Greece, but it is not well known or appreciated today. It is a simple and tasty sauce that showcases the culinary and cultural heritage of the ancient world, and it is a testament to the creativity and skill of the ancient Greek cooks. He used a variety of ingredients and techniques to create delicious and diverse dishes. Hypotrimma also reflects the influence and exchange of different cultures and regions, as it incorporates elements from the Mediterranean, the Near East, and the Orient. Number 12, Dormice. Now let's talk about dormice at number 12. These cute little rodents were considered a delicacy in ancient Rome. Can you imagine serving them up on a platter today? I think we'll stick to more traditional proteins. Dormice, also known as glires in Latin, were a special treat for the wealthy and the elite in ancient Rome. They were bred and fattened in special containers called gliraria, which were clay jars with ventilation holes and food trays. The dormice were fed with nuts, fruits, honey, and cheeses until they reached the desired size and weight. Then they were killed, gutted, skinned, and stuffed with pork mince, ground pine nuts, and garlic. They were baked or roasted and served with honey and poppy seeds. Dormice were eaten as appetizers, snacks, or main courses, depending on the occasion and the preference. They were also offered as sacrifices or gifts to the gods, the ancestors, or the friends. These small rodents were rich in protein, fat, and flavor, and had aphrodisiac properties. Although they were not as popular or frequently consumed as they once were, dormice were a component of the rich and varied cuisine of ancient Rome. They are illegal to hunt or eat in most countries and are protected as endangered species in some regions. They were also considered unappealing and disgusting by most modern palates, who prefer more conventional meats. Dormice are a rare and controversial delicacy that few people have the chance to taste today. Number 11, ancient fruit varieties. At number 11, we have a broad category, ancient fruit varieties. They were the fruits in the past that were popular that are now extinct or replaced by modern varieties. It's astonishing to think about the diversity we lost over the centuries. Roman melon was a type of melon that was cultivated in ancient Rome. It was large, round, and green, with a sweet and juicy flesh. It was eaten fresh or preserved in honey or vinegar. It was also used to make wine and perfume. The fruit was wiped out by a fungal disease in the 19th century and replaced by the modern cantaloupe and honeydew melons. Jujube was a fruit that resembled a small date or olive. It was a native to Asia, but it was introduced to Europe by the Romans. It was sweet and chewy, and it was eaten fresh or dried. It was also used to make candies, jams, and liquors. Popular until the Middle Ages, but declined in cultivation and consumption due to the introduction of other fruits and crops. Medlar was also a fruit that looked like a brown apple. It was native to Europe and Asia, but was cultivated by the ancient Greeks and Romans. It was a sour and astringent and had been bledded or left to rot before it was edible. Pies, jams, and wines were made with it, and it was consumed raw or cooked. Up until the 18th century, it was widely consumed, but its unattractive appearance and flavor caused it to become less popular. These are just some of the examples of the ancient fruit varieties that have vanished or evolved over time. Although they are not as well known or valued as they once were, they are part of the long and rich history of human cuisine and culture. They serve as a reminder of both the environment's vulnerability to human activity and its flexibility. Number 10, Hydromel. Kicking off our top 10 is Hydromel, an ancient ancestor of modern mead. It was a honey-based beverage enjoyed by the Greeks and the Romans. Sadly, this sweet elixir is lost to time, leaving us to wonder what it tasted like. Hydromel, also known as melkraton or aqua mulsa, was a simple and refreshing drink that was widely consumed by the ancient Greeks and Romans. It was made by diluting honey with water and sometimes herbs, spices, or fruits to enhance the flavor and aroma. Drunk cold or hot, it depends on the season and the preference. Hydromel was a staple drink for the common people, especially the farmers, shepherds, and the soldiers, who could easily make it from the available ingredients. It was also a popular drink for the poets, the philosophers, and the artists, who believed that it stimulated their creativity and inspiration. Hydromel was also used for religious and medicinal purposes, such as offering, cleansing, or healing. Hydromel was a part of the everyday life and culture of the ancient Greeks and Romans, but it is not well known or appreciated today. It is mostly confused with mead, which is a fermented drink made from honey, water, and yeast. However, Hydromel was not fermented and had a lower alcohol content and a sweeter taste than mead. The natural and peaceful way of life of the ancient world was mirrored in the simple and delightful drink known as Hydromel, but it is not often found or eaten nowadays. People who try to replicate the ancient recipe and flavor are most likely to find it in historical plays or experiments. Number 9, acorns. At number 9, we have acorns, a surprising ancient staple. In many cultures, acorns were ground into a flour and used to make bread. It's hard to imagine baking bread with acorn flour today, but it was a common practice in the past. Acorns are the nuts of oak trees, which are found all over the world. They are rich in starch, fat, and protein, and can provide a lot of calories and nutrients. However, they also contain tannins, which are bitter compounds that can be toxic in large amounts. Therefore, acorns have to be processed before they can be eaten. The most common method of processing acorns is leaching, which involves soaking, boiling, or rinsing the acorns in water to remove the tannins. The leached acorns can then be dried, roasted, or ground into flour. Acorn flour can be used to make bread, cakes, pancakes, or porridge. It has a nutty and earthy flavor and a coarse and dense texture. Acorn bread was a staple food for many ancient civilizations, such as the Native Americans, the Koreans, the Chinese, and the Romans. It was especially important for the people who lived in forested areas where acorns were abundant and easy to collect. Acorn bread was eaten plain or with honey, butter, cheese, or meat. It was also used as a base for soups, stews, or casseroles. While it's not as popular or extensively consumed as it once was, acorn bread was a staple of the ancient world's varied and sustainable cuisine. It is regarded as a novelty or survival meal and is primarily found on farms or specialty stores. Number 8, hedgehogs. Roasted hedgehogs made their appearance at number 8. In medieval England, these prickly creatures were considered a delicacy, were often roasted for feasts. Can you imagine serving up a hedgehog for dinner nowadays? I think PETA might have something to say about that. Roasted hedgehogs, also known as glirus in Latin, were a special treat for the wealthy and the noble in medieval England. They were hunted, trapped, or bought from the market and prepared in various ways. The most common method of cooking hedgehogs was to cut their throats, singe and gut them, truss them like chickens, and press them in a towel until very dry. Then they were roasted on a spit or in an oven and eaten with sauce made from vinegar, wine, and spices. Alternatively, they were wrapped in a casing of grass or leaves or in a pastry crust and baked in a fire. The grass or pastry would prevent the meat from burning and also peel off the spines and hair. Roasted hedgehogs were eaten as appetizers, snacks, or main courses, depending on the occasion and the preference. They were also offered as gifts or sacrifices to the gods, the saints, or the friends. Roasted hedgehogs were rich in protein, fat, and flavor, and had a medicinal and aphrodisiac properties. Roasted hedgehogs were part of the exotic and varied cuisine of medieval England, but they were not widely consumed or appreciated today. In most nations, it is forbidden to hunt or consume them, and in some regions, they are protected as endangered species. They are also considered unappealing and cruel by most modern palates, who prefer more humane and conventional meats. Number 7. Sapa. Number 7 introduces us to Sapa, an ancient Roman condiment made from boiled-down grape juice. It was a sweet and thick syrup used to flavor dishes. I bet it would make killer topping for ice cream today, but alas, it's lost in history. Grape juice or must that has been cooked down was used to make Sapa, an ancient Roman condiment. It was a thick and sweet syrup that was used to flavor various dishes such as meat, cheese, fruit, or bread. Sapa was also a fermented drink that had a high alcohol content and a sour taste. It was produced by boiling the grape juice or must in lead alloy kettles, which caused lead to leach into the syrup. This made Sapa a toxic and harmful sweetener that could cause lead poisoning. Sapa was widely consumed by the ancient Romans, who were unaware of its dangers or ignored them for the sake of taste. It was also used for religious and medicinal purposes, such as offering, cleansing, or healing. Though it is not as popular or recognized as it once was, Sapa was a part of the rich and varied cuisine of ancient Rome. Many ancient Roman condiments like Hydromel or fruitum are often confused with it, despite being safer alternatives. The modern grape syrup, which is prepared entirely of grape juice, has no lead and is not the same as Sapa. Number 6. Spelt bread. Spelt bread takes the 6th spot on our list. This ancient grain was a common choice for bread in the past, especially in ancient Rome. Unfortunately, it's been overshadowed by modern wheat varieties, and spelt bread is no longer a kitchen staple. Spelt, also known as triticum, spelta, or dinkel wheat, is an ancient variety of wheat that has been cultivated since the Bronze Age. It is also more tolerant of poor soil and harsh weather conditions than modern wheat. In ancient Rome, spelt bread was a basic grain that was used to manufacture a variety of breads, including pulse, lenticum, and panis quadratus. In addition, cakes, pastries, and porridge were made with it. Spelt bread was eaten plain or with honey, cheese, olives, or meat. It was also used as a plate or a napkin to soak up the sauces or juices of other dishes. Spelt bread was part of the everyday life and diet of the ancient Romans, but it declined in popularity and production after the fall of the Roman Empire. It was replaced by modern wheat varieties such as Triticum, Asvecium, or bread wheat, which have higher yields and softer textures. Nowadays, spelt bread is only appreciated and consumed in a few parts of Europe, including Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It is regarded as a novelty or niche product and is primarily found in health stores or specialty bakeries. Number 5. Quince. Quince secures the 5th spot. This fruit, a relative of apples and pears, was widely enjoyed in ancient times. It's fallen out of favor in modern times, but back then it was used in various dishes, from sweet treats to savory stews. Quince, also known as Cydonia oblonga or golden apple, is hard and sour fruit that grows on a small tree. It has a yellow skin, a white flesh, and a strong fragrance. It is native to Asia, but it was introduced to Europe by the ancient Greeks and Romans. Quince was a popular fruit in ancient times where it was eaten raw or cooked and used to make various dishes, such as marmalade, cognac, dulce domestica, and melia. It was also used to make wine, vinegar, and perfume. The fruit has both therapeutic and symbolic qualities. It was high in fiber, antioxidants, and vitamin C. People ate it to cure colds, sore throats, and stomach issues, and to protect themselves from evil and misfortune. It was also associated with love, fertility, and marriage, and was offered as a gift or sacrifice to the gods, the heroes, or the lovers. Quince was a part of the diverse and sophisticated cuisine and culture of the ancient world, but it declined in popularity and production after the Middle Ages. It was replaced by other fruits such as apples, pears, and oranges, which have higher yields and sweeter tastes. Except in certain parts of Europe, Asia, and America, quince is not consumed or valued very much nowadays. It is regarded as a rare or seasonal commodity and is primarily found in specialty shops or marketplaces. Quince is a straightforward and tasty fruit that captures the natural and cultural legacy of antiquity. Number 4. Hippocras. Number 4 brings us to Hippocras, a spiced and sweetened wine enjoyed in medieval Europe. It was a favorite among the upper class for its rich flavors. Sadly, it's not something you can find in your local wine store today. Hippocras, also spelled Hypocras, Hippocras, or Hypocras, was a drink made from wine mixed with sugar and spices such as cinnamon, ginger, clove, and nutmeg. It was sometimes heated or fermented, depending on the recipe and the preference. The wine was passed through a Hippocratic sleeve, a conical fabric filter that was invented by the Greek physician Hippocras to filter water. This gave the drink its name, which was a tribute to the famous doctor. Hippocras was a popular drink in medieval Europe, especially among the nobility and the clergy, who could afford the expensive ingredients. It was served at banquets, weddings, and festivals, as well as consumed daily as a tonic, a stimulant, or a medicine. Many other benefits included better digestion, mood enhancement, and increased libido, were thought to exist. In addition, it served ceremonial and religious functions like washing, blessing, and offering. Hippocras, a drink of wine, sugar, and spices, was enjoyed by the medieval Europeans for its rich flavors. However, it lost its appeal and production after the Renaissance. People preferred other drinks like beer, ale, or brandy, which were more affordable and simple to make. Number 3. Lark's tongues. Our third entry takes us to ancient Greece, where lark's tongues were considered a delicacy. Can you believe it? These tiny bird tongues were often included in lavish banquets as a symbol of opulence and luxury. Just imagine sitting down to a meal featuring lark's tongues today. It's definitely not your average appetizer. Lark's tongues, also known as glottides in Greek, were a special treat for the wealthy and the elite in ancient Greece. They were harvested from larks, which are small songbirds that live in open fields and grasslands. The larks were caught, killed, and plucked, and their tongues were cut out and preserved in salt, vinegar, or honey. The tongues were then cooked in various ways, such as boiled, fried, or grilled, and served with sauces, spices, or herbs. Lark's tongues were eaten as hors d'oeuvres, snacks, or main courses, depending on the occasion and the preference. They were also offered as sacrifices or gifts to the gods, the heroes, or friends. The tongues of larks were rich in protein, fat, and flavor, and had a soft and tender texture. Additionally, they were also believed to have various benefits such as improving the voice, the memory, and the mood. Lark's tongues, a delicacy in ancient Greece, are now unpopular and frowned upon. Most countries ban hunting or eating them, and some regions protect them as endangered species. Most people today find them disgusting and inhumane and choose more normal and ethical foods. Lark's tongues are an uncommon and disputed food that hardly anyone gets to try today. Number 2, Roman mustard. Our penultimate entry, Roman mustard, takes us back to ancient Rome. Forget the mild mustard you're used to today. This version packed a punch with ingredients like wine, vinegar, and spices. Wonder how it would have compared to our modern mustard flavors. Roman mustard, also known as Oinus oxyrenchitis, or sharp-nosed wine, was a condiment made from ground mustard seeds mixed with wine, vinegar, and various herbs and spices, such as pepper, caraway, lovage, coriander, dill, celery, thyme, oregano, and onion. It was sometimes sweetened with honey and had a thick and coarse texture. The ground mustard was a popular condiment in ancient Rome, where it was used to flavor various dishes such as meat, cheese, fruit, or bread. It was also used to make sauces, glazes, or marinades. Roman mustard was rich in flavor, aroma, and heat, and had a strong and pungent taste. Additionally, it was believed to have various benefits such as improving digestion, enhancing mood, and increasing appetite. Roman mustard was a part of the exotic and varied cuisine and culture of ancient Rome. It is mostly confused with other types of mustard such as Dijon, English, or American, which have different ingredients and tastes. Number 1, Apicius dishes. And finally, the grand finale at number 1, Apicius dishes. Apicius was a renowned Roman gourmet, and his extravagant recipes featured ingredients like flamingo tongues and sow's womb. These dishes were a symbol of luxury, but today they're lost to the archives of history. Apicius, also known as De Re Culinaria or De Re Coquinaria, on the subject of cooking, was a collection of Roman cookery recipes which may have been compiled in the 5th century CE or earlier. It contains over 400 recipes ranging from appetizers to desserts and covering various types of dishes, such as seafood, poultry, meat, vegetables, fruits, and pastries. Some of the recipes are simple and practical, while others are elaborate and exotic. Apicius dishes were famous for their use of rare and expensive ingredients, such as flamingo tongues, sow's womb, peacock brains, sea urchins, and Silphium. These ingredients were considered delicacies by the ancient Romans, who enjoyed them as a sign of wealth and status. They were also believed to have various benefits, such as improving health, advancing mood, and increasing libido. The ancient Roman cookbook of Apicius reveals a world of culinary delights that few people can imagine today. Apicius dishes were not only the staples of the rich and the powerful, but also the highlights of grand celebrations and ceremonies. They showcase the diversity and abundance of the Roman Empire, as well as the skill and creativity of the chefs. From spiced wine and rose petals to roasted peacock and stuffed dormice, Apicius dishes were a feast for the senses and a testament to the art of cooking. However, many of these dishes are now forbidden or frowned upon by modern laws and ethics. Some of the animals that Apicius used are endangered or protected, while others are seen as disgusting or cruel. Apicius dishes are a lost treasure of gastronomy that only a few adventurous and daring souls can experience today. There you have it. It's kind of wild thinking about all these unique flavors we're missing out on now. Seriously, which ancient food totally caught you off guard? Thanks for watching.